Has anybody built a proper adventure bike with an inline 4-cylinder before this one? We liked the new Kawasaki Versys 1000 when we compared it with its competition earlier this year, but it's more sport tourer than a real sporty adventure bike, mainly because it weighs 565 pounds. One of the key numbers to process with this new BMW S1000XR is 502. That would be its fully fueled weight in pounds, according to BMW, which is only 8 more than the Yamaha FJ09 that won the aforementioned comparison. The FJ made 104 horsepower on the dyno. BMW claims 160 crank HP for its newest beast, which translated into 155 HP at 11,200 when we tested what's supposedly the same engine in last year's S1000R here. The FJ09 is by no means a slow motorcycle. The new XR makes 50% more power, and that makes every ride a sporty adventure, indeed. It's the same 999 cubic centimeters inline 4 we just sampled in the S1000RR over Beast, dialed back just a bit for use in the XR and the R. Now it makes peak power at 11,000 RPM instead of 13,500, and peak torque at 9,250 RPM instead of 10,500. With that hyperactive rev monster of an engine and the XR's dirt bike ergos, combined with BMW's electronics, what happens on Canada's dirt back roads is that Colin McRae's World Rally Car video game comes to life. Keep it in road mode, roll the throttle open and the rear tire steps out just a little while the engine wails and stutters and the orange light on the dash flickers. In dynamic, it steps out more, the light flickers a bit less and the front wheel is allowed to come up over rises. Either way, it's flat track fun for the whole family, and it feels like, as long as you don't wash out the front Bridgestone street tire on the entry, you can do no wrong. It's not the sort of disrespectful behavior the S1000RR encourages at all. Though if you're too short for the XR, you might get away with it on the S1000R on smoothish dirt roads for a while. And though BMW's own R1200GS weighs just 20 pounds more than the XR, it's a completely different experience. Camel vs Arabian Stallion. Heck, maybe you can't wash out the front tire either? This is the first BMW with ABS Pro, which is BMW's version of lean-sensitive ABS. There's a lean angle sensor plugged into the ECU that's supposed to keep you from overclamping the 320mm front discs even at full lean. For greater dirt pleasure, the rear is a good size 265mm disc, clamped by a 2-piston caliper. BMW says this ABS Pro was not developed to enhance the rider's individual braking performance when braking in a banked position, especially not on the racetrack. Instead, ABS Pro was designed to help use the S1000XR even more safely within its physical handling limits when riding on public roads, for instance, when faced with an unexpected hazard in a bend. ABS Pro is part of the Ride Modes Pro option, $450, and may be worth that all by itself if you're the king of the late breakers. To me, the XR feels shorter geared than the RR or the R, but BMW's specs say all three bikes are the same. I think what's happening is the XR's, and RS, enhanced midrange just makes them feel like they're ripping through the gears even faster than the RR. It feels like somebody lightened the crankshaft. BMW's Gear Shift Assist Pro seems a bit unwieldy downshifting, but it's a lot of fun on the upshifts with this engine pinned. Holding the throttle wide open in any gear on this bike, I have to consciously remind myself to open it all the way. It's hard to believe the XR is 30 horses or so down on the RR we just dynoed, and that's even with my test bike restricted to 9,000 RPM because it was still in break-in mode. Maybe it just feels faster because you're sitting upright in the face of the gale force wind you produce instantly with your wrist. This bike basically compresses all the S1000RR S180 mph plus performance into about a 150 mph package. Way more than enough for street use, in other words. The fact that it seems made for dirt roads doesn't seem to much affect the XR's on-pavement performance either. though it's less steep of rake than the S1000R, and with 0.7 in. More trail and a whole 4.3 in. Longer of wheelbase, the XR still snaps quickly from right to left with little effort, mostly due, again, to its superb ergos and the leverage of its wide handlebar. Meanwhile, the bike's all-seeing, all-knowing electronic suspension knows just how to firm things up when it senses aggression. The two-position windshield snaps snazzily up or down without tools. I had mine down all day, happy that the rain had stopped. The 6 feet 4 inches guy I was riding with said it gave him pretty good, calm wind protection in the up position, too. There's a 12-volt outlet right there in the dashboard. One official BMW spec says the alternator puts out 486 watts, another says 350. We'll find out which is correct. There's supposed to be a $16,350 base model, with manually adjustable suspension components at either end, but no one's ever seen one. The standard package, for $17,295, could work, since it includes heated grips, cruise control and rain and road modes. But BMW really wants you to buy the Premier package for $18,750, dripping with Gear Shift Assist Pro, Ride Modes Pro, Tire Pressure Monitor, Dynamic ESA, Center Stand, Luggage Rack, the whole 9 yards except for the saddlebags.